So, what if you're just used to oversharing, right? That is the opposite of having healthy boundaries. And that is the way that you feel most intimate and connected to people. This is likely for people that were raised in systems and families of enmeshment, right? I have done a lot of oversharing throughout my entire life. This is a dynamic that I am now healing. And quite honestly, it is challenging to heal. And the reason it's challenging to heal is because throughout my entire life, I have associated oversharing with intimacy. As humans, we crave intimacy. However, it wasn't until recent years that I learned that oversharing is not only not intimacy, but it's not healthy. And the other thing that I'm starting to realize about oversharing is that it actually takes up a lot of time and emotional energy, right? The way that I see it in terms of oversharing is that, and this is in regards to everybody that I would be connected with, right? Oversharing actually slows me down because if I am oversharing with like everybody in my life, I am taking a lot of time and energy to communicate to the people in my life, whatever it is that's going on in my life. And quite honestly, I don't have to, right? But there is a big challenge that comes with stopping oversharing as a result of setting boundaries. And that challenge is emotional loneliness. This might not occur for everybody, but this is a theme that I have noticed in my own life. But the interesting thing is that when I set those boundaries and I stop oversharing, I learn to take on whatever it is that I would overshare with other people myself. And quite honestly, that's a massive gift that anybody can give themselves, right? The beautiful thing about stopping oversharing is you actually start to see who is safe, right? By the way, when you tell something to somebody, do you actually want them to advise you in a specific direction, or do you just want them to listen to you? I have been so used to receiving unsolicited advice throughout my entire life that I thought that that's just the way that things are supposed to go. I thought that everyone knows what they're talking about previously, but I was totally wrong. And quite honestly, a majority of people, well, I won't say a majority of people, um, I will correct that to say there's a portion of people out there that will give you unsolicited advice without you asking for it, that actually, one, don't know what they're talking about, and two, don't take their own advice. Half the world is healthy, half the world is unhealthy. Half the world will give you unsolicited advice. Half the world will ask you what it is that you're looking for when you come to them with anything, right? This is actually statistical. Like, there's research behind this. This is all the reality of things, right? And so, when it comes to actually halting, actually stopping oversharing with people, right? For the people out there that have learned that oversharing is intimacy, instead of taking away the intimacy aspect of it, I'm just going to call it unhealthy intimacy, pseudo intimacy, right? It is enmeshment. You lack healthy boundaries, and therefore you tell things to people that are not healthy to tell them. It's an unboundaried dynamic, right? And so essentially, what happens, especially considering you're used to that dynamic, is that now you're bringing it all back on yourself, right? Now, in the very beginning, you may look at that and you may say to yourself, or even to me, you might say to me, well, Chris, that feels really lonely. It is unknown territory. It is unfamiliar and uncomfortable territory. It doesn't make it good or bad or right or wrong. It's just that you've been used to vomiting at other people your stuff, right? That's not a healthy dynamic, especially if the other person is not emotionally available to take it on. One of the unhealthiest dynamics in relationships is emotional unavailability. People that are in unhealthy relationships experience dynamics of emotional unavailability. What does this mean? It means that they're not actually emotionally present with you or themselves. They can't fully receive it. These are likely the people that are going to give you unsolicited advice. Now, let me make this very clear. Again, the loneliness that you feel when you set boundaries and you stop oversharing with people is not good or bad or right or wrong. It is just simply communicating to you, oh, wow, I am no longer oversharing with people. This territory that I'm now in is very different from what was previously. Previously, I was used to the dynamic of oversharing and telling people absolutely everything about my life, and I'm not doing that anymore. This is weird. What do I do? You see it for what it is, and you understand that because you've lived your entire life previously the other way around, you are now faced with sitting by yourself with your stuff and examining it for yourself. And I'm going to make this very, very clear because I've done a lot of work on myself and I've had a lot of experience with this. Okay? Not everybody can give you healthy guidance in regards to whatever it is that you're sharing with them. And it's very important to understand that, right? And amongst the people that are healthy, there are people that exceed good health emotionally, right? There is an even less percentage of people out there that can give you exceedingly good direction on whatever it is that you're bringing to them. So, with that, that means that half the world is unhealthy, a smaller percentage of that is even exceedingly unhealthier, right? People that are unhealthy overshare, people that are unhealthy enmesh, right? If you continue to carry out dynamics of enmeshment in your life, you will just continue, and not only enmeshment, but also oversharing, which is a facet of enmeshment, right? You will find yourself repeating the same cycles and patterns over and over and over and over again. It is repetition compulsion. It is comfortable and familiar. Yes, that is the reality of it. It is not healthy. The more you can be by yourself and sit with the loneliness of, wow, this is really different. I'm no longer oversharing with people. I don't know what to do with myself. I feel very lonely. It's really important for any individual to bring all of their stuff back on themselves, to look at it for themselves. You get emotionally stronger the more you are by yourself. That's the reality of it. So understanding that can really transform how you not only approach yourself, but also people. Again, not everybody can guide you in a healthy direction. And the more you stay comfortable inside of oversharing and dynamics of enmeshment, the more you're just going to continue repeating that pattern, right? Because the territory is unknown and uncomfortable and unfamiliar, you're likely to run away from being by yourself and actually sitting with your own stuff rather than constantly bringing it to people. Let me make this very clear, by the way, too. Because repetition compulsion is a real thing, right? We have a deep need, and it might be unconscious or subconscious, but we have a deep need to continue feeling the same feelings from childhood. That's what repetition compulsion is. We're trying to keep our childhood alive emotionally, right? So if oversharing and enmeshment was a comfortable and familiar feeling to childhood, There's a drive inside of us, subconsciously and unconsciously, quite possibly, that rhymed, to keep emotionally that childhood alive. That is why you continue to overshare. That is why you continue to enmesh. That is why you are attracted to people that are similar to that. However, it's not healthy. However, you don't have to do it. You can choose to not do it. You can choose to get uncomfortable, to be alone, to be feeling lonely, right? Emotions are temporary, they're not forever. You can change your emotional state, especially depending on the level of personal development work you do on yourself in therapy, right? And that's just the reality of it. Repetition compulsion is a real thing. Our childhood wants to keep us stuck in the familiar thoughts and feelings that were born there. And that's the reality of it. But the benefits of stopping doing things that weren't healthy in childhood are through the fucking roof. That's the reality of it. When you see that and understand what that means, right? Accept it for what it is, but choose differently. Our shit, our childhood is not about overcoming it. It's about accepting it and choosing differently and new. That's the reality of the matter. Once you see that for what it is, you can profoundly transform your life.